Hi sailors, and welcome back to a new podcast here on explorenorth.no. I'm your host Jon Amtrup. This time we're returning to one of my favorite young sailors, and that's Ella in the Arctic. She is in the final stages of getting ready for a circumnavigation of the Arctic Circle. She's going to do the Northwest Passage and then the Northeast Passage solo. If she can pull that up, and I'm both rooting for her, and I am really impressed by her motivation, preparations, and grit to do this. So I think she's going to do it. So listen to this podcast as she is getting ready to start on Saturday. That will be tomorrow, and you can follow her on Ella in the Arctic on all social media, and please do listen to this and be inspired. Okay, it's time for a new podcast. I'm in Fredrikstad, and Ella, where are you?
I'm in Gosport, Portsmouth Harbour.
Gosport, and you've been there for a while now, haven't you?
On and off for the last 2 years, yeah. Yeah, but nearly time to go.
Yeah. The last time we spoke, we were both in Longyearbyen. That was end of August last year. And you were heading back home, and so was I, but in totally different boats. But and now you're getting ready to go again, aren't you?
Yes, so I'm leaving this Saturday, just a few more days, on the 24th. So I'll be slipping lines from Hasla Marina between 12 and 1, and starting the trip north to the Arctic again.
Nice. And for those people who haven't been listening to the two podcasts I've been recording with you, can you just give a brief summary of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm setting off to attempt the first single-handed circumnavigation of the Arctic Circle, completing hopefully both the Northwest and Northeast passages this summer.
That is ambitious.
That's one word for it, yeah.
but start, because the plan is still to do the Northwest Passage first, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to head up the North Sea along the east coast of England. The start point's going to be halfway between Norway and Iceland on the latitude of the Arctic Circle at 6.5 degrees north. And then I'm going to go around the top of northern Iceland and over to southern Greenland and into the Northwest Passage. So the start point probably seems like a strange place to start if I'm trying to get to the Northwest Passage first. But I want it to be closer to Norway for actually the end of the trip. I'm going to have to cross that start point as my end point again. So putting it closer to Norway makes better sense for finishing later, so late in the season, sort of October, November time, by the time I'm coming back. So that's why it'll seem like a longer way of getting where I'm going, but it will make more sense at the end of the trip.
Nice. And are you planning on doing it non-stop?
So non-stop's going to depend on my fuel consumption. So I'm taking all of the food that I need. I'm actually taking 8 months of food for what I think should be a 5 to 6 month trip. And I've got a desalination unit on board so I can make my own water. So fuel really is the only thing I would have to stop for. But I'm carrying 800 litres from the moment I leave, which is just over 1,000 nautical miles of range. And that's if I was running the heater every day as well, which I won't be. So it will depend on the weather and the ice, really, as to whether I have to stop for fuel or not.
Right. And your guess is?
My guess is...
Stop or not?
Well, I've prepared to stop if I have to. So I've been looking into areas to refuel, and a lot of them, certainly through the Northwest Passage, seem like places you have to drop the anchor and get ashore in a dinghy with your jerry cans and stuff. So we've gone and bought the dinghy and the outboard engine for it, and jerry cans and stuff on the boat. So I'm prepared to stop if I have to. I have a list of areas that I could do that as well. But then the documentary team are looking at their possibility of coming to refuel me so that we can do the attempt non-stop without me having to go ashore. But realistically, whether that's going to work or not, time will tell. I think the non-stop thing for me is it's something a lot of people have noticed that I said when I started this campaign sort of 3 years ago. The more that I've built this campaign, the less that's become an objective of mine. It's not about that anymore. It's never been about records, but the reality of doing it non-stop is something that I'm not concerned about either way, whether I do it non-stop or not.
You should be way good enough to actually do the circumnavigation, even if you're stopping and going ashore or refueling. No one has done it before.
Exactly. And whether I do it in a single season or even in 2 seasons, it will still be the first time anyone's done both passages alone. And like I said, it's much less about the record, much more about the raising awareness for the Arctic and the predicaments of its future. So that's where my heart lies in it more than the records.
Yeah, because it is also, it's not just you going sailing. It's bigger than that, right?
Absolutely. It's a climate awareness campaign at its core. So we're trying to showcase and highlight how quickly the Arctic is warming and losing its ice. And realistically, actually achieving this would be so bittersweet. It would be amazing, obviously, to be the first person in the world to ever do something. There's not many things left that haven't been done before, but the reality of what that would mean for the Arctic and its future and how that's going to, affect the world on a more global scale, it would be a difficult parallel to sort of manage as an individual to have set that record, but to be so aware of the repercussions of it. So, in a quiet way, I'm almost hoping that I don't get around in a single season because of the reality of what that means.
Yeah. But you have a lot of partners that are betting that you're going to make it, haven't you? You've been really good at getting partners on board.
Yeah, the support for the campaign has been amazing. It was a slow burn at the beginning. It took well over a year to get the first sort of 3 or 4 sponsors, and in the last 2 years, now we have 22 sponsors and a financial backer and a title partner, and the support has been absolutely incredible. I actually had an event in Haslam Marina on the lightship on Sunday to get everyone together and thank them all properly before I left. And there was, 60 people filling the lightship, all coming down to support and cheer us on. So it's been amazing.
Yeah. Had you imagined that kind of support when you started this project as an idea 3 years ago?
No, absolutely not. And certainly through the first sort of year of trying to get this off the ground, the amount of rejection that I faced at the beginning very much gave me doubt as to whether I'd get any support, let alone the amount of it that we have. So I'm incredibly thankful to everyone that's come and been a part of this journey. And it was amazing at the event to see everyone get together, because most of the sponsors from the different companies had never actually met each other. And for them to get together and it just turned into an event full of so many like-minded people, but from such different areas of the industry. It was just a really, really cool space to be in. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Has it been kind of a catch-up effect, getting sponsors, getting the right on board, and then just suddenly everybody puts their hand up?
Yeah, it started, I think, when I started getting publicity in yachting magazines, and there were a couple of companies that reached out to me for sponsorship. That's when I realized that, the tide had turned, so to say, and we were actually going to pull it off. Yeah.
And the science sponsors, who are they?
Yeah, so the expedition's been endorsed by the British Scientific Exploration Society, who then put me in touch with the International Seakeepers Society. So I'm actually going to be doing depth sounding of the seabeds in support of the International Seakeepers Society's 2030 seabed project. And they've also worked with me to create a lesson plan for school kids. So there are schools out there following and watching that have got charts of the Arctic Ocean now in their classrooms that will be putting pins in once a week of where I am, and they'll be able to note sort of what animals I'm seeing, what wildlife, and follow the expedition that way as well, which is really cool.
Nice. Yeah, Seakeepers is a really nice organization. I'm part of it myself, and it's it's a bunch of good people.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, it's fun. And apart from that, are you doing any other science?
That's it on the data that I'm bringing home. We were looking at working with the National Oceanographic Centre in Southampton to be able to do microplastic sampling, but the equipment that they have is far too big for me to store on Yeva. I mean, you've seen what Yeva's like. There's not a lot of room, and every inch of it is full with the equipment that I need. So unfortunately, that equipment was too bulky to take with me. But hopefully this expedition could lead into a future for me, into ocean research and conservation. So I hope to do more in the future for sure.
So cool. Yeah, you have to present your boat, Yeva. She's a 38 feet ketch, right?
Yes, she's a Bruce Roberts 38 offshore design. So she's 38 feet. She's made of solid steel. So she's 5mm steel thick with a 12mm skeg. She is ketch rigged, and she has a doghouse inside for steering to keep me out of the worst of the weather as well. So she's my little tank, as I call her.
Yeah, she's a beautiful little tank. What? Yeah. Since we saw each other on Svalbard, you sailed back, and you had a massive amount of not maybe a massive, but you had a lot of things going on your boat, and you still have, haven't you?
There was a lot that went wrong last year for sure. So, as you know, on my way to Longyearbyen, the boat suffered total steerage failure and flooding. Yeah. So I managed to jerry-rig a fix to the steering whilst I was in Svalbard with you. And on that, I sailed the boat back to Scotland. But it took a while because the steering was so fragile. I had to avoid any sort of rough weather, heavy weather. And by that point, it was September, October in the North Sea. So there was quite a lot of heavy weather. So it was a slow journey home that resulted also, once again, in more flooding. So we ended up getting the boat back to the shipyard and did a couple more months of refit. We've overhauled that steering system. We fixed the drainage in the anchor locker that was causing the flooding. And then a couple of months ago, I took Yeva out in the storm Ewan that blew through the UK. It had always been the plan to go out and find a storm to make sure we'd fix the problems we needed to. But I thought I would have to go far out into the English Channel to find one. And it ended up coming right to my doorstep. So I kind of put everything on hold for a day. And I was under storm jib before I even left the harbour walls of Portsmouth Harbour. We had breaking waves over the bow before we were even out at the swashway in front of the harbour. So we went out for about 4 or 5 hours and gave the boat a really good beating. And she handled it all beautifully. So I'm a lot more confident in her capability to be in those weather conditions now. So it was a shame that we had to postpone the trip for a year for that training. But at the end, with hindsight now, it was a godsend. And now she's ready and I'm ready and we're going.
Any thoughts on the political situation? Because you're going into an area with countries that are not that... Yeah, it is a kind of a tense situation.
Yeah, I tend to shy away from talking about politics too much because I don't want that to overrule what the expedition is about. But it is an area that's unstable at the moment. Yeah. You know, obviously we're all aware of what the Russians have been up to. We're also now facing, Trump's threats of invading Greenland, and you start having, nightmares of sailing up no man's land between Greenland and North America, sort of waving a white flag saying, I'm English, leave me out of it. But the American visa has come through. The Russian visa has come through, and believe it or not, the Russians have actually approved Yeva and I for independent navigation from the eastern seaboard all the way to the western seaboard. I applied for a month to do that passage, and they've allowed me 6 weeks. And they've been incredibly supportive. They sent me a very apologetic email where they said, we're sorry this is taking so long to get your permit through, but visiting yachtsmen is such a rarity in our northern waters. We'll get back to you. And then they came back and approved everything with an extra 2 weeks allowance as well. So, we should be okay on that front.
That is fantastic.
It's been everyone's biggest question since the beginning. You know, how are you going to get through Russia, Russian bureaucracy? The Russians will never let you in. You can't do it without a Russian speaker or an ICE pilot. And it's been everyone's, you know, moment of contention about it all. So, being able to waive that permit with the official stamp and signature from the Russians on it has been very satisfying. It took 1.5 years to get it, but it's here.
So cool.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it in 2 years, does the permit apply for 2026 too?
It doesn't, no. So my visa for America is a 10-year B1, B2 visa, meaning I can come and go from America for up to 180 days in their country every year. But the Russian permits are dated for a particular timeline for this year. So if I had to, so for me, the point where I would stop would be Alaska before pushing into Russia. If I'm not certain I can get out the other end of Russia, it's the last place I want to get stuck by myself for the winter. So then it would be a case of reapplying for those permits. But if they approved us once, I don't see why they wouldn't approve again for next year if I outlined the circumstances that meant that I couldn't get there this year for whatever reason. So we'll see.
Should be way easier to get it.
Yeah, now that I know who to talk to.
What do you see as the biggest what can stop you on this trip?
Realistically, any breakages of the boat that I can't fix alone. I mean, obviously, I can do the mechanics, the electrics, the engineering. I've got 2, if not 3 spares of everything, but you never know. Then also injury to myself is a big risk, especially when we're thinking of temperatures where the decks are going to be icy and snowy. Any sort of slip and trip, if I were to break an ankle or a wrist or anything like that, would obviously have to put an end to it. The ice cover could potentially put an end to it. I don't think there's going to be enough ice to stop the attempt from happening, but the problem potentially could be the wind directions. So if the wind pushes the ice towards a coastline I'm trying to get through for too long, and then the wind could shift and push the ice away towards the next bit, you know what I mean? So there could be weather issues or ice issues like that. Boat breakages or me breakages. We'll see. Yeah.
But by starting so early in the season for the Northwest Passage, you're giving yourself quite a good time frame.
Yeah, I hope so. I plan to get to the Northwest Passage, for sort of mid to late July, which might be too early to even get through there. But I'd rather be there at anchor, ready and waiting, than to get there too late and miss the window to get through Alaska or Russia. So, very much going to go up there and sit and wait for it if I need to. Yeah,
because last year the majority of the cruises going through was mid-August or early August, and then ended up in Nome in the beginning of September or mid-September.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for an early August transit if we can get it. I need to realistically be crossing into Russia at the start of September. So my permit for Russia is approved from the 15th of August until the 30th of September. The Russians have advised that September would be the best time to do the transit. So if the Northwest Passage opens too late, for example, then that could hinder my chances of getting through Russia in the right time. Very much hoping to be heading over the Chukchi Sea at the end of August.
Yep. Are you in contact with any other boats going the Northwest Passage this year?
I've been keeping an eye on some of them. There's a Facebook page you're probably in about boats doing it. But to be honest, I haven't been in sort of personal contact with any of them yet. I'm more likely to do that once I get there. Undoubtedly, I'll be in sight of a couple of other boats doing it. So more like radio comms and supporting each other with our ice charts and updated weather information as we go if we end up transiting through at the same times.
Yeah. Speaking of ice charts, what kind of communication have you opted for?
So we've gone for Iridium. Iridium have actually come on board as the official communications partner for the trip. So I have an Iridium mounted on the boat, the antenna and the sort of mounted unit, which I can use to download my weather and my ice charts. I can use it to email and WhatsApp the shore team. It's actually got a phone on it, which is nice because I'm going to be missing my dad's 60th birthday. So I'm really looking forward to being able to actually ring him from the boat. But I'll be able to use that. And then that also factors into my backup systems. So we have backup handheld Iridium systems as well as the yellow brick tracker, and that's backup system as well. Hopefully, lots of methods. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And that's the Iridium XS you got then?
Yes.
Yeah. The high speed one or the higher speed one. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it high speed, but
No.
it's good enough. It's certainly more. It's the reliability of it, right? No, I certainly won't be live streaming to Facebook or anything like that. But
No.
Starlink, because of the sanctions and things, doesn't work in Russia, and Starlink isn't truly global in its coverage of the high latitudes. So Iridium is. So the reliability of having something that will work all the time, even if it's slower, was the better bet than having something that might be quicker but less reliable.
Definitely. Definitely. What's the biggest change you've done to the boat, except in sort of comfort, sort of?
I think, for me, comfort. I've spent a lot of time this winter making the bed better. So obviously you saw we took the double bed out of the bow cabin and turned that into shelving, which left me sleeping basically on the saloon table, alongside the saloon sort of bench. And even with the cushions on top, you could still feel the wood of the table on your back. So the bed has now got mattress toppers on it and big thick duvets and a silk pillowcase and heavy blankets. And it's actually a comfortable space now that I look forward to getting into rather than waking up with a bad back every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking at maybe 8 months, and that's a 38 feet boat. I'm guessing there's not much room down below.
No, well, I'm hoping the trip will only take 5 to 6 months. I've prepped for 8 months as a worst case scenario. But yeah, the boat is full to the brim, every nook and cranny. And actually, I've still got equipment arriving today and tomorrow. I've got a para anchor coming with 80 meters of warp for it and a retrieval line. And it's like, God, where am I going to fit this? But the boat keeps surprising me. We keep squirreling more stuff in, and it keeps working. And if I have to put the power anchor on the bed, at least it'll be comfortable to lie on. So I'll find somewhere for it.
That's nice. What kind of heating do you got on board?
So I have an Erbesfatch diesel heater, but the majority of all of last summer's training, I barely used it. It really only started to be used when I got the boat back to Scotland and had to wait there for weather windows, and it was bloody freezing. But I do all of my sailing with the companionway hatch open as long as the weather's good enough, so that I can get in and out quickly. So there's no point putting the heater on if you have an open door, right? So I'm a big fan of an extra pair of socks or gloves if needed, or a blanket rather than using the heating. But it will work. It will do what I need it to in the most extreme of conditions. The plan is to never let the inside of the boat drop under about 10 or 12 degrees Celsius. So if it gets down to that, we'll close the door and put the heater on. But if it doesn't, then I won't be using it.
No, sounds good.
I find that having a slightly colder boat also helps with the sleep management and deprivation. You're less likely to get so sleepy if you're a little bit colder rather than warm and comfortable. So.
Yeah. Was it Maggie Thatcher who said it? To perform at your best, you have to be a little bit sleepy, a little bit tired, and a little bit hungry.
I'm sure I'll be all three of those things most of the way around, yeah. No problem.
Not a problem. As the starting date has come closer and closer, and we're pretty much into it now, how has your family and your nearest environment reacted? Or changed their...
They've been amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everyone who knows me knows that once I put my mind to something, I'm like a pit bull with a bone. Like I'm not going to let it go. Dad was interviewed the other day, and he was asked, you know, have you ever thought about advising Ella not to do this? And his response was, well, even if I did, she wouldn't listen. So no. They're all very nervous. Obviously, I think there was a lot of doubt at the beginning, you know, a couple of years ago, whether I'd ever pull this off. But they're incredibly proud of the support that I've managed to drum up. And I think they just want to, you know, wish me the best and see me home safe. I actually got a text from my grandma this morning that made me a bit emotional because she asked me if I would have room on the boat still to take my late grandfather's teddy bear that he had his whole life. So she's bringing that on Friday. Yeah.
Well, gotta have room for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you're, after the problems getting into Longyearbyen and on that stretch, you seem like a very confident person in the beginning, but after you tackle that, has that been a confident booster?
Yeah, I think it's shown to me that I have got the mindset that I've been trying to convince everyone that I do.
Yeah.
You know, before those training sails last year, I really hadn't done any ocean going passages alone. Yeva hadn't been tried and tested, and to have put myself in a scenario, you know, unwillingly, I didn't do it on purpose, but where the boat actually broke and I had no choice but to sort it out myself and just get on with it. There was a moment when the boat was going around in circles in the Barents whilst I was trying to investigate what had failed in the steering, where I texted my shore team and I said, you know, just ignore the boat track, I'm investigating it. And someone on the shore team sent me a text and he said, why don't you try and have a nap and then see if the boat goes in a straight line again? Because he thought my sleep deprivation was probably so bad I was imagining it. And I wasn't frustrated at the situation until I got that text message. And then I was like, you know what, bugger off. It's not me, it's the boat. So yeah, coming out the other side of those challenges has helped me prove to myself that I can manage it. Hopefully nothing goes that wrong, touch wood, again this time. But if it does, then I know that I have the capacity to be able to work through it in a calm sort of compartmentalized way. And this is something that's been brought up a lot with the documentary team over the last couple of weeks. I don't think I realized that the majority of people don't compartmentalize in the way that I do. I find it very easy to put whatever emotion I'm feeling at that moment away in a box and just ignore it and think about it later because you have something you've got to do now that needs your focus. For me, that comes quite naturally, probably almost to an unhealthy extent where I probably don't deal with my emotions as much as I should, and they'll catch up and bite me in the ass at some point. But yeah, I find it very easy to stay focused and manage one step at a time in a pragmatic way. So, yeah.
You probably don't want to go, we've talked about that, you're not going ashore if you don't have to, but if stuck, what's have you done anything about bear protection?
Yeah, so I've actually jumped through all of the hoops that I needed to get a firearms license certificate here in the UK. So Yeva and I were both approved to carry a Remington .308 bolt action rifle. I've made the decision in the end actually not to take it because my worry there is if I had to go ashore in one of the countries I'm passing through, whether they would accept a UK certificate, for example, Russia, if I had to go ashore in Russia and the boat was boarded for an inspection, if they found, a bolt action rifle on the boat, whether they'd have problems with that. The last thing I want to do is upset anyone and get, arrested. So what I've opted for instead is actually a flare gun.
Yeah.
So I have a flare gun tucked away in a safe under lock and key on the boat with 30 red flares. So more than enough to keep scaring polar bears away, but nothing that I would actually be able to severely damage a bear with. And as you know, like we're supporting Polar Bears International. The plan is to not disrupt the bears at all. But if I did end up trapped in sea ice, I would be able to keep the perimeter of my boat safe from scaring them off.
Yep.
That's the idea.
Nice. Because, the guys I talked to in the previous podcast who did the Northwest Passage, there was a lot of bears last year.
Yeah, I very much hope to see them, but from a very safe distance. And that, again, plays into keeping the boat moving as much as possible, you know, not being a stationary target. The reality is if I'm at anchor in a bay and, you know, I'm trying to get a longer sleep whilst the currents are against me, if a bear caught wind of the smell of food and I was only 50, 100 meters, 150 meters from shore, the likelihood of them swimming out is possible. But I don't plan, hopefully, to be so close to pack ice that they would, you know, come from pack ice to me. But yeah, it is a risk that I'm going to have to mitigate and just stay very vigilant and keep watch as much as possible.
Yeah. Speaking of food, what kind of food have you opted for?
So I've been sponsored by a company called Firepot Foods, who are down here in England. They're in Dorset. I actually went to their place a couple of weeks ago and saw how they made all of their dehydrated food. So I've got 14 different meals, 2 meals a day, packed into one bag for 1 week. So it's also in a mental game for my own sort of time management. I'll know that every Monday is the same 2 meals, every Tuesday is the same 2 meals. But by doing it that way, I'll never have the same meal more, hopefully, than 5 times in the trip. 4 times a week, times 5, 20 times in the time that I'm out there. So, and then lots of Tabasco, God's gift to dehydrated food. Lots of vitamin supplements, and I need to do my last supermarket shop tomorrow to try and get as many snacks to fit in every nook and cranny that isn't full of equipment. So I'm just waiting until the boat's fully packed in of all the equipment we're expecting to see how many snacks I can go and buy and add in there too.
What's your favorite snack? What are you going to buy most of?
Oh, chocolate, undoubtedly. Yeah. Something sweet that, it's just that sort of comfort creature taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How are you with sleep deprivation?
Yeah, I mean, the sleep deprivation, I think personally, is going to be the biggest challenge to overcome and to work through. So last year, I maintained when I was offshore a sleep pattern of 20 minutes at a time. So sleep for 20 minutes, get up, check everything. If everything's cool, nothing's changed, go back to sleep straight away for another 20 minutes. And as long as I could get 4 or 5 hours total in a 24-hour period, that was maintainable. For up to sort of a week. I think I'd struggle to do any more than 9 or 10 days on that routine. But in areas of open water, offshore, I can heave to and get a bigger rest. Again, in areas like the Northwest Passage, when the currents are against you, there's no point trying to fight them. I won't be able to sail Yeva into some of the currents that are 6-7 knots fast up there. So anchoring for longer rests, bearing in mind that I have to get up probably every hour to hour and a half at anchor to watch for ice drifting into the bays. The Northeast Passage is surprisingly shallow, way more shallow than I was expecting. A few miles offshore, you're in 25, 30 meters of water still. So plenty of places to anchor along there too. But yeah, it'll just be a case of watching my own signals from my body, watching out for hallucinations, any of that sort of stuff that's your warning signs that you're in a danger zone now with sleep and you need to get a longer rest, and then trying to make that happen.
Yeah. Watching out for hallucinations, that's a good one.
Yeah, I had one last year once.
Yeah.
In the Barents Sea, I started hallucinating squirrels drowning in the water, but it was kind of a helpful hallucination because it was something that was so obscene. I knew it couldn't possibly be there because the squirrels looked like the little cartoon from Ice Age movies. So it was very clearly my brain. Whereas the danger is if I start hallucinating stuff that could be there. So like an iceberg. Yeah. And then I have to go and check on the radar whether the radar's seeing that or not, to help, override the sort of imagination that your brain's taking over. So as long as my hallucinations stay in cartoon format, we'll be fine because I'll know. Or if like all of the pictures that I've put all over the walls start talking back to me, then I'll know I've lost it. So just watching out for things like that. Yeah.
You might have to tie yourself to iceberg or it has been done. Have you brought any equipment?
No, I very much plan not to get that
No.
close to icebergs themselves.
No.
The risk of them flipping, turning over.
Not iceberg, but flat ice sheets.
Ice sheets. Yeah, it's not equipment that I have in the sense of like grappling hooks and things. I do have 2 anchors. I have 200 meters of warp. I have 60 meters of stainless steel chain. But it's not something that I've got on board. I don't know if I'd even have anywhere to put it now. Grappling hooks to hook onto ice floes. I don't know. Do you think I should? Do you think I should go and get some?
Yeah, maybe an ice screw or 2.
Yeah. Okay. Might see what I can get in the last couple of days.
You have 2 days left, so you have to prioritize what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's down to the wire now.
Yeah, it is. And ice situation in the Northeast Passage. How's that?
So at the moment, looking at the ice charts yesterday, almost half of the coastline of Russia is already open, which is an astronomical amount. The thing that people forget about the ice in the Arctic is that it's like a floating raft, right? So even if all of the coastline of Russia opens in the next 2 weeks, if the ice has been blown towards Greenland, Canada, Alaska, then it would make that section look open now. But then the wind could shift and blow back towards the coast of Russia, and then that would look shut again. So it's something that you have to consistently monitor every day. But at the moment, it is opening. I mean, northern Iceland, southern Greenland, halfway up Baffin Bay, all of that is opening up already. We're very much keeping a close eye on it. But this year in early May, Arctic sea ice reached its maximum extent for the year, which was the lowest maximum extent ever recorded since records began in 1978. Yeah. So as unfortunate as that is for the Arctic, it does look like the Arctic will be open for this trip this year.
Yeah, it is a kind of a sad record.
Absolutely. It's going to be the most heartbreaking thing to actually achieve. I mean, we've spoken about this before, but some scientists, are estimating that the Arctic could be ice-free in the summer months as early as 2050, which means I could circumnavigate around what ice is still left there now at the age of 28. And before I'm 50 years old, hypothetically, I could sail again from Scotland almost in a straight line all the way to Tokyo, because the North Pole and the ice physically will no longer be there before I'm 50 years old, which is just a harrowing reality that I don't think people are paying enough attention to. Mm-hmm. And I still get the more publicity this campaign is getting, which it is now with I'm going to be on the BBC Breakfast Show here in the UK this weekend. I've just had an interview with the Dubai Eye radio show. So, publicity is spreading now for this. But I'm getting so many comments, so much hate online about how climate change isn't real. And, the Arctic ice is doing better than ever and there'll always be ice there. And I'm hoping that someone put a comment on a video the other day who said, you stand absolutely no chance whatsoever of pulling this off because there's too much ice. So when I do pull it off and I come home and show that person, and I'm like, well, look, I did it. So hopefully we can start changing people's mindsets and approach to this and just showcase how drastically important it is, to do better, which is why we're making a documentary out of this, so we can bring the Arctic to people's living room sofas and try and at least sway a couple of the naysayers' minds into believing that this is the reality we're facing now.
That is hard work. That is probably more hard work than sailing around.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going because I won't have access to the comment section,
No.
Won't be able to read it anymore. But it has been increasing the amount of combat that this whole expedition is facing now, because people just refuse to believe it.
Don't read the comment section.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I get so many lovely comments and messages of support and so many wonderful emails, and people from all around the world like reaching out to give advice and support, and then it's just that one shit comment that sticks with you in your mind, so that's where the emotions go and sit in a box and you leave the negative behind.
Back to the ice. Do you have any assistants on shore? Do you have any helpers to guide you or advise you?
So one of my sponsors is a company called Drift Plus Noise, who it's their database called ICC that I'm using. They've actually given my father quite extensive training in how to use that database and download the images himself. So if I have any doubt on what I think the best route forward is, or if I've lost my own internet connection for whatever reason, Dad will then pick up the slack and give me the advice and stuff that I need to navigate that and find the best route. And Drift Plus Noise themselves would hop on a call with Dad and help him decipher it to give me the info. And then there's people, like Victor Wager and people like that through the Northwest Passage that are always happy to help. I've had some wonderful support from all sorts of people. I mean, just randomly, I got an email the other day from someone who manages a marina in the Western Fjords of Iceland. And he said, anything we can do to help, if you ever need to stop, if you need any equipment for the boat, then have it sent here and pull in, and we'll give you night for free in the marina and dinner on the house whilst we help you out. So there's plenty of support that I can reach if I need it.
That is nice. And you're probably gonna need it or want to.
Undoubtedly. I'm not naive enough to think that I can just set sail and go and do it all alone.
No.
I'll be alone on the boat, but I am surrounded by so much support. That I have plenty of shoulders to lean on and brains to pick if I need it. And that's the reality of doing this, is that I don't think it would be possible without that level of support. So
no, probably not. How's the documentary gonna pan out? How are you?
So the boat is looking very Big Brother at the moment. There are cameras everywhere. There's 4 permanently mounted cameras on deck, 2 permanently mounted cameras inside. I've got 2 digital DSLRs, multiple GoPros, a drone, cameras out the wazoo. So we'll be recording almost essentially the cameras will be recording 24/7, but not saving the footage until I press a button on the wristwatch I'll be wearing, which will then save the last 30 minutes of footage that it's captured and the next 30. So where we don't want to, just record 24/7 and then have someone sit through 3,500 hours of footage, I'll be able to capture, if I saw a glimmer of a whale or a splash that I missed, I can press save and hopefully we'll capture that. And then if something breaks or goes wrong, or the first iceberg sightings, then I can choose to save those moments, and we'll put, a few moments every day into the documentary. I'm also, I think, going to be doing 1-minute daily vlogs that should be able to make their way to you guys at home whilst I'm already out there. So there should hopefully be some footage along the way, but if not, then it will all be saved. I've got 16 terabyte hard drives on the boat, just multiple computers and storage for all that footage. So redundancies upon redundancies to bring that footage home.
Yeah. That sounds like a cool system that can save the last 30 minutes. What kind of system is that?
Really clever. Well, I'm actually going to find out this afternoon. The guys here putting it on at the moment. But it's the cameras that are mounted on deck are 360 cameras. And apparently they have these remote control watches. So 2 cameras per watch, 1 watch on each wrist. And he's here this afternoon, so I can go and do that with him and learn how to fly my drone. But now that I'm saying that, I'm just looking at the rain pissing down outside the windows. Typical. So I'm not sure how well that'll go today. Also, the weather for Saturday is looking typically British, with 25, 30 knots of wind and rain again. So I think a lot of people are going to come and wave me off. But the plan was for them to come out in following boats and fill up the top deck of the lightship and wave me out of the harbour. And realistically, I don't think it's going to be as big of a group now that I can see what the weather's doing, which I don't mind. I could just slip quietly off without a big fuss, and my wet weather gear on, I'll be fine.
Looking forward?
I can't wait. I just want to go. Get me out of Gosport, you know? Oh, it's just been so long in the making now. And I say to everyone, like, the reality of what happens up north with the ice and the weather this season is completely out of my control. But what I have been able to control, almost, I can't even believe that I'm leaving, but to run a campaign from a whisper to the wind 3 years ago when I didn't have a sponsor or a boat or a penny drop together, to actually have run a successful campaign, to the start line is going to feel like a surreal moment when I go. So yeah, I can't wait.
No, yeah. I can't wait to follow you. And how can we follow you?
So you can follow me online. If you look up Ella in the Arctic, that will give you my website, my social media, the YouTube. The social media is being taken over by a very close friend of mine called B. So she'll be giving you guys the updates that I can't. And when I set sail on Saturday, there will be a tracker going live on my website from Yellow Brick. So I'll be both on the Yellow Brick tracking app, but also online on a website link. People can see where the boat is every day.
Nice. Huh. Thank you so much for joining. And
thank you for taking the time again to have me on.
No, I'm guessing there's not broadband capacity to do a podcast during the trip. No,
unfortunately not. No. We'll see. Not unless I end up ashore, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah, perfect. No, I'm looking forward to following you.
Well, we'll do one when I get back. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll do when you get back.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
Yeah. Safe travel.
Thank you so much.
And
I'll speak to you soon.
See you on the other side.
Have a good summer. Bye.
You too. Hi again, sailors, and thank you for listening to this podcast. You will find more podcasts on explorenorth.no, both in Norwegian and in English. If you want to know more about sailing in cold waters, I can highly recommend, without blushing, the book I wrote together with Bob Shepton. It's called, surprise, surprise, High Latitude Sailing, Self-Sufficient Sailing Techniques for Cold Waters and Winter Seasons. It covers pretty much everything you need to know to get out sailing the whole year round and sailing to remote places in the world. You'll find it. You can buy the book on explorenorth.no, on Amazon, or have your bookstore order it. If you're interested in Svalbard, I also wrote Sail to Svalbard. You can buy them at the same places. So please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions at all. You'll find me on explorenorth.no. In the meantime, go out sailing.